my family did. When I landed at 6 o'clock in the morning at Heathrow Airport, by 10 o'clock in the morning I was in church. So, I mean, I was doing some good things, you know. And things were going pretty well for a couple months, and things started to slide. One, we needed to put more investment into the Pacific Rim. I was having some trouble with getting some of the results that I needed to, because I needed to utilize some of the cowboy tactics. And I probably didn't do as good of a job of connecting with some people that I should have. And after 6 months, they decided to buy me out of my contract and release me to the industry. And I was devastated. This was a low point for me because I had 2 dreams that had died. I had debt that was mounting from the business. I had no job prospects. I had a broken heart, spiritually and physically. And this is where God grabbed me by the head, and he looked down at me and said, "Don't worry, we're almost there." Because I was at a point where I realized that my plan and my reliance on me wasn't going to get me there. And when I came back, I was reminded of a study I went through called Crown Financial Ministries. And in Crown, they ask you to go through 10 weeks of studying what God talks about on relying on him with regard to your finances. Actually, his finances. And every week you got to memorize passages. And every week you got homework. And the passage that I was reminded of was Philippians 4:11 through 13. For I have learned the secret of I've learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both having abundance and being in need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And that's where I was. I realized it wasn't me. It was him that I can do things. And so I started to learn the answer to that question my brother asked me. And I needed to learn some reliance. I needed to stop relying on my plans and my strength and rely on him. Just like I relied on that doctor. I needed to rely on the great physician. Now, it was a process. The clouds didn't open up and everything just kind of worked its way out. It was a process. I started going to actually the transition group, no job prospects, and started to learn some of the truths and getting structure and getting that bonding time and fellowship that I had there. And I got a perspective back on the verse, remember about God, that guy who came to Jesus? And when the disciples heard that, hey, it's harder for the rich man to enter the kingdom of God, they were dismayed, and they were, this guy's a good guy, man. He's a good guy. He's following the commandments. He's a good businessman. He'd be a good one to have on our team. And Jesus looked at them and he said, with man, this is impossible. But with God, all things are possible. And that's one of the things that I learned about the reliance. And I was being taught about it. And I think it's part of that reliance is learning about the parent-child relationship, God the Father. And how, as teenagers, I remember in my teenager years, I really wanted low reliance with my parents. And as a result of that, I caused some great angst with my parents, as well as harder times for myself. And then when I got into my 20s and I started to realize that my parents knew a little bit more than me, a lot more than me, I relied on them more, and good things happen. And it's just like that. When we rely on God, that's kind of, we bring joy to God when we rely on him. And we also bring better times upon us. So I was going to the transition group, and another thing that kind of came to me, because I was still, I had the debt, I had no job prospects, my dreams, things were starting to come together, but I remember one time, and I remember vividly being in my bed crying because of the burden, and I was just like, God, I am relying on you, and the verse that came to me that really brought a lot of comfort to me, and I claimed this verse just crying, literally in the middle of the night, in despair. And it says, Matthew 11, it's in the book of Matthew. And Jesus says to people, and he says, come to me, all ye who are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. And I was heavy burdened, and I needed rest. Take my yoke upon me and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart. And all those verses that talk about the heart kind of hit me. I am gentle and humble in heart. And you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I claimed it. I said, I'm coming to you. I need rest. God, give me rest. So what does that look like to me? Finding that rest, finding that peace through that reliance. It looks like in a lot of different things in a lot of parts of my life. I found a lot of rest in those truths. Another one that I want to share with you that means so much to me is in the book of Psalms, where David, the guy who slew Goliath, who went through a lot of tough times, and you can tell that he had gone through those times and he could speak to you. And he spoke to me and gave me a lot of comfort. And it says this, the righteous cry out, and I was crying. And the Lord helps them. He delivers them from all their troubles. Delivers them from all their troubles. He is close to the brokenhearted. I'm there. And saves those who were crushed in spirit. And again, I was there. A righteous man may have many trouble, but the Lord delivers him from all. I found that comfort in that passage and other passages like that. And the other thing that it gave me, and I think when you look at that truth is what is part of that peace that passes understanding. I can't tell you the peace that came over me when I truly started relying on Christ, but it was there. But it also is kind of seeing like Annalise's love language, where Annalise, she has a gift of service, and seeing her give me that gift of service by cleaning the table when she knew I needed some love. That was nice. Now, my journey is not over, but just like my heart condition, I need to keep doing checkups and taking my medication, keeping my exercise and eating right. I need to learn and relearn that I need to take comfort in God and rely on Christ. And through my reliance on Christ, today I will tell you that on the 12th of September, I will be competing in a half Ironman on a triathlon. I am ranked in the top 5 in the Virginia State Series of triathlons. I've been able to secure a job at Bank of America where I have a great influence throughout the franchise and the banking center level. And